Tushar, we can start.
Okay, yes, sir, we can. I think it's already time, so we can start with the webinar. So, very good morning to all. My name is Architect Tushar Mandal, and on behalf of the Periyar School of Architecture at New Delhi, I welcome you all to the 29th webinar in the Every Friday webinar series, a platform for young minds to express their ideas. Today's webinar will be a discussion on enhancing architectural pedagogy using technology, and will be presented by architect Humair Subhani. So before introducing the speaker for today, I would like to honor Architect Pravindra Raj Mehta, who is the mentor of our school, along with his partner. He is also the former president of the Council of Architecture. We also have with us Architect Piyush, who is the design chair of the school. So Mehta sir, if you could go first and give a few words of encouragement for us today.
Good morning and very warm welcome to participants. Very special welcome for Humair. You were the first one, I recall. So we took off from you and here you are on 29th discussion again. So I'm very, very pleased to see you and looking forward to something very interesting. This series, which is hosted by Tushar now almost 8 months, regularly every Friday. And as Tushar said, what we are looking forward to is that we could generate some new ideas. If you have something, you could share it with on this platform. And we try and take it forward or create an opportunity for you or a possibility for you to carry on with your idea, share it with in academia or professionals, or if a note needs to be sent to government for anything which it needs to be done to improve human habitat today or tomorrow. So a very warm welcome to you, Humair, once again, and a very warm welcome to all the participants. I hope you enjoy Humair's presentation. He's a very articulated person. Now I can talk about him. Having heard him once, very articulated in his thoughts, a very forceful presentation he makes. So let's hear him, and I wish you all a very interactive session. Piyush, if you would like to say something.
Piyush sir?
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, sir, you're audible. If you could just say a few words of encouragement for us.
So first of all, I was able to catch this after a while now, but I think I was always looking forward to these presentations, and I think all thanks to Mehta sir and to Tushar for organizing this. And I think I'm really looking forward to attend more of these. This is definitely what should I say, mind-opening seminars, especially for architectural faculties, architectural students, and people who are into architecture. Definitely gives us a different perspective to look at the subject. So I'm sure this is going to add a lot of value to the people who attend. I'm trying to promote it to different people, but initially they are a little sluggish in attending these seminars, but slowly they are becoming interested, because once they see the value, then definitely they would like to come in. So looking forward to more of these. So that's that's only I want to say at this point, and I'm looking forward to the presentation. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. And to both Mehta sir as well as Piyush sir, thank you for your words. So now I will introduce the speaker for today's webinar, Architect Humair Subhani. This is the second time we have invited him to the platform, and we are very glad to have him back again. So Humair is a postgraduate in acoustics from Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. He also completed his BRs from the same institute. For his master's thesis, he analyzed the correlation between the NCR Regional Plan 2021 and the Meerut Master Plan 2021. Currently, he is running his own practice in the city of Meerut. So I would request Humair to now begin with the presentation, and it's a request to all the participants to keep themselves muted for the duration of the presentation. Once the presentation is over, we will have an active discussion question answer round where you can unmute yourself and ask your questions. Thank you. Humair, you can now begin with the presentation.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. I hope I'm completely audible. And
Yes, you're audible.
okay, so I thank Periyar School of Architecture and especially Tushar for inviting me to this platform and sharing my ideas, of whatsoever ideas that I have. It's the second time, and this time, unlike the last presentation that I gave, this time I'm a little nervous and a little skeptical about the entire idea of how to present uh, architectural, technology into the entire stream of architectural pedagogy. So, but still, I wrote a research paper in 2019 about this particular topic and gave out a conceptual idea, which I will talk about in this presentation. But before I begin, I would just like to mention it loud and clear that this particular presentation is a little on the funnier side because I consider it to be a very, very dark topic, and like it is slightly daunting in its nature because technology from where I see it is going in a different direction than we can actually perceive. So let us begin and see how technology can be incorporated in architectural teaching methodology, and how technology is being used in the entire culture, and how technology can help or enhance the portfolios of the students or the working quality of the students. So let us begin. So this is the topic outline and a few points in broad headings that I'm going to talk about. So the first part is the conflict at the table. Then about so in the entire presentation, I'm not going to use the word technology on its whole, but I'll rather use tech as the short form, like the millennials do. So tech hype, tech boom, and then the bubble. So, and then we're going to talk about, is tech a devil in disguise? Then how do you, what is the perception of technology in architectural schools, and how can the adoption of technology work in different ways? Then we're going to talk about the impact of technology. Then there's one important point that is also related to my conceptual idea, that is professional redundancy with technology or with tech. So, and the last point is measures to prepare for it. And can we, like, I also call myself to be a student right now because every day we are learning something new, because the environment, the ecosystem of design and the industry and the development is changing every day. So can we as the students be risk averse? Like, can we avoid it? So let us begin part by part, and I'll try and uh, make things slightly clear on my end as well as on the audience end. So the first part is drawing board dream. So when I coined the term drawing board dream, so this particular term is a two-way process, is a two-way term, both for the faculty as well as for the students. And there's a conflict, but I would not call this conflict to be severe or to have a harsh side to it, because uh, the person, when I was also in my first or second years of in the bachelor's program of architecture, we used a lot of our drawing board and sketchbooks. So we had this persistent but short-lived dream at the time of conventional sessions of drawing board. So what is this dream? So we are aware that there exists a technology that could convert our very basic and rough ideas into something realistic, something finer to the details that we wish to happen. We wish to make it happen. So it's a visualization of any design in its final shape, color, and form. So it's a visualization while I'm drawing it on my sketchboard or on my drawing board, and I'm imagining it in my head to be the final product. But also, it is a half cooked design composed of immature parts, but visualized on a full scale. So both these aspects are two different situations, Both of them are not negative. Both of them are half positive and half negative, or maybe 60 or 40% whatsoever, depending on who is thinking and how he or she is thinking about it. So this dream is not negative in my perspective. It exists and it should exist. So every child, every designer, every faculty, whenever he or she designs something, has something in his brain which is like the end product of what is going to come out. And that makes that brings in the idea of technology, because we know that technology exists and technology can make it happen, but we are not very well aware of how to make it happen. We are not well equipped with the tools and with everything that will require in the entire process to make it happen. So I'm calling it both ways, that it is a visualization of any design in its entirety, but it also half cooked, because you never know what changes you might put into it, what other fine line details that might come into picture, etc. So it's like a dream of every child. Then we move ahead. uh, Now, since I said that it's a dream, and therefore there is tech hype, because everyone is dreaming about it, everyone has an idea about tech. So there's a lot of hype about it, and there is so much data in our lifestyles in today's time that it is incomprehensible amount of data that we're using every minute of our life. From very small devices like our smartwatches or our smartphones, to an entire space which is working on the internet or electronic systems. So there is so much technology involved in our lifestyle today that is incomprehensible. So that there is so much of it, and we are aware of it, but we do not have complete access to it. We just know that it is there somewhere. And this is how talking in terms of how the expansion or the development of technology has happened across the globe, or across the timeline of, like, in the last 30-40 years, or maybe 20 years, not even 30-40. So the tech industry has boomed, like skyrocketed. So and if you could see that I have smartly played with the graphic of Elon Musk, because he is considered to be the tech giant today, and he knows how to use technology, and that he's actually understanding how the world works, and he's putting the right pieces of tech at the right places, so that in the near future he is called to be a visionary. So tech is booming, of course. But now tech is booming, and it will continue to grow for another maybe 50, 60, or indefinite amount of period. But one day, in terms of how I am talking about technology in my particular field, this bubble is going to explode. So it is because it is stretching out in such a in such a fast speed, that one day it is going to explode and will cause professional redundancy. And how that we're going to talk about. So now, so this is a funny graphic. So technology is a witch. It looks fancy. It might look very dark and inviting, but it is a witch. It may cause damage. So, but again, like in the beginning, when I said that I'm not saying that this technological dream is negative. I'm just saying that this is uncertain for a vast majority of people. We are just going with the flow. So there's an uncertain scenario, but some fundamentally awakening hypotheses are troubling enough. So let's talk about how uh, is technology somehow fundamentally making the practice or making the learning of architecture or design in general students difficult or easy. Again, uncertainty. So the first point which I want to talk about is shrinkage in design thinking. So I recently completed one course in design thinking by one of IIT Madras. So it talks about how uh, how whenever a designer or any person who is designing smallest of ideas or the largest of things is the process of design, how the process of design works. And it includes a lot of data collection, a lot of interviews, and then streamlining the data that he has collected and the information that he already has in his mind, then finalizing it, then verifying it with the current practices, and then making the final prototype of what he was designing or he or she was designing. So now with the advent of technology, we have, as students, we also did it, that we eradicated a lot of small steps in the process of design. And I'm sorry, we eradicated a lot of small design processes, and we skipped to the part where we could actually, start making the prototype and not following the entire process. So this, because technology makes it easier for us. Technology gives it shape, gives it form, gives it the final finish that we are thinking about it, and it does not incorporate the entire amount of time and thinking that is required, or that was required, to put into that product before it was out in the market, or before it was out on the table to present. That's how, this is my opinion, that technology is somehow affecting the process of design thinking. Then another aspect is collapsing or expanding markets of art. So by this, I would like to take an example of the all the all the tablets that are now available in the market, which allow you to sketch. And the best example is an iPad. So now every designer or every artist is now supposed to have an iPad, or does have something, a digital pad that he or she could use as a digital medium or a sketch medium, where he could draft ideas. Now this particular now technologically, on a technological ground, there is a monopoly of one particular type of gadgets that are being sold to artists. And a conventional artist who used to have an entire table filled with stationery items is now going to dump. Or this, again, I'm saying that it could be positive or it could be negative. For some people, it is very nice an idea, because now I'm getting rid of all the clutter that I used to have on my table, and I just have one single iPad. But on the other hand, if I talk about art in the conventional model, then the touch and feel of each and every material, or different types of material, was so pleasing, and it could, bring out the idea that different material could touch and feel different. Now that's another point. And now third part is computational monotony or diversity. So now this, I would like to relate it to one of the posts that I saw, that now in the postmodern era of design or architectural studies that we are doing, if you look at the type of typology of buildings that we are designing, or the typology of houses that we are designing, we come across with a very standard set of rules and principles, color schemes, and that's where we are revolving our design ideology. So in even in terms of big scale and large scale projects, where a lot of computing machinery is being used, even there is so much geometrics or analytics being used, but we are still lacking the essence of culture, or the essence of art in it, or the diversity of material that could have been used in the name of simplifying the entire design scheme. So, but again, I will keep pointing it out again and again in every point, that this entire discussion is very subjective, and people might not accept the fact that accept whatever I'm saying, because they might have a completely different opinion on it. Then I'm going to talk about professional redundancy. I've said this term like 4 or 5 times in the last minutes that I've been talking. But now what I mean by professional redundancy is that now you have there are so many websites on the internet, what they're doing as architects or as contractors. I do not know. I'll just take preferably I should not take any names, because it might cause some level of defamation to their work. But there are websites available on the internet who have prototype plans and 3D models and interior designs for a particular size of plot, and they are selling it as a package. So I consider that this is just the beginning of how we have entirely scrapped off the process of design and converted this module of architecture or design as a package, as a product to whoever is available on the market and is in as in need of a design or any 3D model that could be there. So what they do is they ask you uh, for this plot dimensions of your plot, and they provide you with a similar dimensioned plan layout, and then you just make very slight adjustments to the model, and then boom, it's done. The entire process has been eradicated, and now this process is converting into automation. There are again there are model makers, and there are companies who are getting into the process of automation, and one day all these data is going to get converted into a digital module. So what you need to do as their prototype, or as they call it, a minimum viable product, MVP, says that what you need to do is just put in the information that you are looking for, and then a software will actually generate a plan for you, or will actually generate a 3D module for you. You just need to put in the data, and everything will be done by the software. So that's where I think that somewhere down the line we are going to get uh, stuck at the point where there will be professional redundancy. All this that I have studied, or my colleagues, my friends, my seniors have studied, they might just become jobless because of technology. And then again, relating the point number 3 and point number 5, we have lack of culture and lack of flavor. Just because now a human brain has the capacity to process thousands of ideas per minute, and it's not me saying, it's the biology or it's the science that says so, thousands and thousands of ideas per minute. But uh, there will be at this particular time point of time where we are sitting in 2022, the computational powers are not yet at the level where a human brain is. So there is definitely lack of culture and lack of flavor in the output of design that we are getting. So these are something these are some points which I thought while I was researching, that these are uh, daunting enough to reconsider the idea of technology in architecture. But again, on a very funny note, technology is a function of need and not want. Today I cannot live without my phone, because almost 30 to 40 or maybe 50% of my processes during the day are dependent on that particular device. So we need technology to compete in this dynamic world, because the world is changing, and if I have to stay in the profession, if I have to continue working in the profession, I have to adopt uh, the means of technology, of adopt whatsoever is there, or whatever the market is allowing me to conceive. Then so now on another funnier note, now getting back to we have talked about how the industry is working, how we are shaping up the entire process of design. But back at the the studio of our architectural schools, and now we have we in the beginning of the presentation we talked about dream. So now students, all the students who are 10% aware of the technology, or maybe 70% aware of the technology, they think that now they need technology as their partner. So, and they know that with technology a student will grow, will understand how everything is working. So as I mentioned, that student tech relation is like that, we'll grow together, and it's time you come into my life. So and then the professors or the faculty that are teaching the students, or nurturing them, they also want technology to come in. But some professors, or the professors who are highly experienced and come down from like 20 to 30 years of experience, and not well adept with what technology is offering and how dynamically it is changing. So it is a little difficult for those people to entirely inculcate the technological stream into the curriculum. But of course, but it is necessary, as I mentioned, that is a need-based function and not a want-based function. So the professors or the faculty will say that this is so good, this would shed new light on the learning scheme, but it's a difficult process. Now, and on a completely different note, the administration or the organization, now, to have all the technology in your college or in your faculty is very difficult. Not very difficult, but comparatively difficult in a shorter period of time, because you cannot have all the technology right at your doorstep, like the way it is changing. Like when I was a student, we had a workshop, but we did not have all the machinery. And when we had machinery, like when I was in fifth year of my bachelor's program, we had some level of machinery that was introduced in our workshop, but we were not allowed to directly access it because of course we didn't know how to do it. We didn't know how to use a CNC router, we did not know how to use a laser cutting tool. We of course had seen it in the market where we used to go, but we didn't know it personally, so we had to take permissions from the faculty, from the admin, then go to the staff, and there would be uh, an operator that used to be there. He used to work. So this is a long process which the students avoided, and there was only one machine with nearly 400 students, so there was a lot of rush, and therefore this idea was not very functional. Only the people who had patience uh, used that particular setup. So the system says, I'm still evolving. I need maybe another 25 years to get this into get this into function. So this process we are lacking is, we need something, there is a requirement of something, but we're not entirely capable of handling it. We're not entirely capable of having it on our plate. So this becomes a little difficult for each and every one of us. So when we are finally exposed, or finally introduced to technology, it is difficult for us to handle. So there's a very funny story I would like to mention, that in our bachelor's program, we were asked, in every year we were asked to write a report on particular research topic, and nearly 70% of I'm sorry, and nearly 70% of the entire class did not know how to use Microsoft Word completely for report writing. We were just you know doing everything manually. We did not know how to insert citations, we did not know how to use hyperlinks or XYZ, so many things. And now at this point of time, at that age, it was funny, because when the teachers taught us, we were like, okay, now we could do it. But now we consider that how students are very less capable of using technology. Like Microsoft Word, I know Microsoft Word from back in 2000s, so that is way back, and we still do not know it. We are just getting it done. Just, oh, in the Indian context, we are doing jugaad. It's just happening. Now, then let's talk about how to adopt technology in a holistic manner in the studios, in our working studios, in our educational studios. And then there are some level of uh, you know uh, problems attached to it, how when we entirely adopt the technological means. So the first and foremost part that I would like to mention, and there are so many senior teachers here, they might agree or they might not agree, an introduction to new software, basic as well as advanced. So in our even in our college, we are still dependent, and even in our offices, in a lot of offices, maybe more than 90%, we are dependent on AutoCAD. But now there are so many different softwares available on the internet or available in the market, and people are actually working on it. So but we do not know, because we were not trained to do it. So talking about the market, there are so many institutions, small and large, who are teaching or taking up courses for AutoCAD and 3ds Max, but I have not seen like a lot of institutions who teach Grasshopper or Rhino or computational softwares. So that becomes one issue. uh, it's not there in the academics, it's not there in the market. and it is an expensive software. So so even in on the level of finances, it becomes difficult for a lot of people to learn such a skill. Then introduction to electronic tools along with conventional handheld tools. So the very basic example is a measuring tape. So I have been using conventional measuring tape throughout my life, but very recently, or maybe any year back, I was introduced to a laser-based measuring tool, which I was not introduced during my college years. So that is one regret. But it is very handy. It's better. Of course, it has its pros and cons, but that is one small adjustment to our set of tools that we have in our day-to-day life that could make us a step better. Or on the other end, like leveling tools or surveying tools. So we were introduced to surveying tools back in our first year of architecture, but they were not digital surveying tools. So now we have all the digital surveying tools available in the market. So that's another plus. Now, this Tushar will also might also agree with me that discussion and dialogue on uh, automation or machine learning or robotics is actually in picture. It is there in the market. It's already there. You might have heard of robots making complete buildings or laying bricks. No, I also have a picture for that later. Now, in our classrooms, we need to introduce this topic to students and nurture their minds or mold their minds in a shape that this might happen in near future. So you need, because we are creative people, humans are creative people, and we need to find solutions to our misery. And I consider that one day automation is going to create a lot of misery in the lives of construction workers or architects or professionals or civil engineers, xyz. So because if everyone is aware, might be aware of it, that construction industry is the largest employment provider. So when I talk about automation, a lot of jobs are going to be lost. Then means to adopt automation and prototype building. uh, Again, throughout, from where I am coming from, we used to make models of small items and large of buildings and designs. So we need to step that up and means to adopt automation and prototype building. So using computational design, now we need to inculcate that into habit of students and put it there in their skill set, that you need to understand how a computer works and how a prototype can be made. And now there are some benefits to it. So there are upskill portfolios, greater levels of learning for simple and complex construction details. Machine dependency, accurate shapes and forms. So machine dependency again is very uncertain and very subjective, because some people might consider it, okay, machine is taking up my credibility. So again, this is a subjective matter. And then there is improved design development. So again, I would like to point out that when I said that there is shrinkage in design thinking, now we are not changing the process of design thinking, but we are just introducing one new member to it, that is a technological tool that will enhance the process, or maybe quicken the process of design thinking. Then again, there is professional redundancy, and there's decreased efficiency, or and higher screen time, higher carbon emissions, and social awkwardness. So I've come across this particular aspect very recently from a lot of friends, that when COVID got over and they were asked to come back to the office, it was a little difficult for a lot of people, because they felt socially awkward at that point of time. So when we spend a lot of time on our screens, kind of talking to ourselves, it becomes difficult when you have a real person standing in front of you, because it's a different situation. I also felt it slightly, but some people have felt it very very greatly in their lives when they first visited the office after like 2 years of time. So it was a difficult period. Okay, so this particular graphic is from one of the more famous TV serials, and So what if all these years of grinding through the industry, you're no more required for what you learned, because there are robots, of course, and now there is artificial intelligence as well. So risk to hai. Uh, there's a lot of risk in it, but we need to adjust and adopt to the new technology that is available, so that this risk could be minimized or subdued in some level. So now these are some of the technologies that are already there in the market, which are already working quite efficiently. So the first is bricklaying robots. So now there are robotic arms and entire robotic setups which are mobile enough. You can take it anywhere across the state or across the city, and they can help you build brick walls or block walls, anything that comes into different blocks. Then we have 3D printed habitable spaces. So we have large scale 3D printers. I have seen a smaller one, like a 3 feet by 2 feet one, which was used to design small prototypes and small elements of design, and but not a large one. So I don't think it's there. I have not personally seen it in India as of now. And one of my friends did tell me that in India it might take a longer period of time to come, because there is a lot of poverty and a lot of people attached to the construction industry, and this might take up all the jobs. Then we have precast module housing. So now now this particular thing is a technological advancement, and but also uh, it has stepped up the process of construction to like to four times faster. Then there's something new that is called generative design, and I also mentioned one of the words, that's it, computational modeling. So now like a computer engineer, like he codes something that forms as a generative idea on the screen. Now architects can also code something, and a building can be formed, or a building design can be formed. So that's how generative design is working. So it includes a lot of technology back into it, a lot of mathematics into it. So it's not just design, it's a lot of thinking behind it. And something fancy, but it's very much into use in the Western countries, somewhere in India also, that is VR, that is virtual reality, and AR, that is augmented reality. So even there are applications on Google Play and in an Apple Store, which says that you could just pan around with your cell phone camera, and you could generate different design ideas inside your home, or measure your entire property, or measure your room floor space, etc., etc. So that's how technology is working, but there are a lot of loopholes to it, and again, it is subjective. So when I was researching about technology and how it is in its kind of uh, you know becoming a nightmare for a lot of us. So am I the only one who looks this scared, or there are other people also who I have given the idea of being scared? So please let me know in the end, like, do you agree with the idea? And I was totally blank. I do have some little idea about it after some level of research, but I still do not know. And now this is the conceptual idea which I'm not very sure about, but I did research about it, and this is my understanding of how uh, this could be done. Like our technology can come one step ahead, like one or maybe 100 steps ahead, and change the entire picture of design. So this comes from the roots of architectural design, that every individual of any city knows the basic rules of construction. And uh, in the historical times, people were so much involved in construction because this idea was very open. This was not a skill that you need to go out and learn somewhere. It was right in front of you. So even today, when I, as a young architect, I sit with my client, there are like 20 ideas that I put up on the table, and 60 ideas that the client put up on the table, because everything is going inside his head, and he has already somehow finalized a lot of things. So this is the situation that the client says that I have found all the ideas that we need, and the architect says, yes sir. Now in case of technology, what might happen in maybe 50 or 100 years down the line, that uh, both of our that we me and the client are connected through neural nodes, and our brains are connected. The client could think and I could also think, and a combined thinking process could be converted into a basic module of what he and I are collaboratively thinking. So this is a very, very complex idea, because architecture or design has millions and millions of layers to it. Like it could have a cultural layer to it, it could have a functional layer to it, it could have a mathematical layer to it, and whatnot. There are so many layers. So this is a very, very complex idea, but somehow this could be done, because even in city planning, we have layout generation robots which are working on standards, which are working on city standards, and trying to generate different types of layouts of particular cities. In my last presentation, I also mentioned that I did a course of in online course on ETH Zurich. So the course name was Future Cities, and the people talked about it. They are currently working in Singapore, and they are working on a particular technology that can actually design neighborhoods based on certain principles and pluses and minuses. So I think if that can be done, a city is even a larger scale. Uh, when you're talking about designing small items, or designing a house, or designing one residential floor, then this could also be done. This is not a vague idea, but this is highly complex. It will require tons and tons of data, and it will require so much effort into it. So now, how the graphic was a little complex, so I tried to convert it into a basic idea. So what we need in the first go is big data. We need a lot of lots and lots of data of different people, different cultures, different backgrounds, different financial capabilities, etc., etc., etc. And then we need a lot of scientific data, like the wind movement, local climate, and so much. And then construction details. Then we need to store and stack that data in verticals and in horizontals, so that we have the right data in the right place. Then we need to create mind maps. Now, this the first two parts are comparatively easy, but the third part is very difficult, because now you need to link a human brain to that particular network that you're trying to create, and that becomes a little, not a little, very, very complex. Because as an architect, when I'm thinking about a design idea, nothing is clear. It's honestly, I think my architect friends would agree with me that it's a very difficult process to actually finalize one single idea. Okay, I'm doing this, because there are so many iterations, so many moving around, and reaching back to the same point. So it's a clutter. So like linking that clutter to something that you've organized, so it's a big gap. And then you need to create virtual. If we are able to create mind maps, then we need to create virtual placemaking and corrections. So now this process is the design thinking. So now you see, design the process of design thinking comes in the end. It also comes in the beginning, where you're sorting the data, but it comes in the end, where you're actually bringing together all the data and your brain to bring us something that will have shape. Now, to also make it more clear, I have tried to write it down. So we need to load terabytes of data, then stack the data, then linking networks, neural nodes. Choose the right choice at the right place. Now this is important. Choose the right choice and at the right place. So the right choice of material and where that material needs to be applied. Then we need option generation, because of course we need options, and rectification and changeovers. Then the raw products. So in terms of business, we call it minimum viable product. So we need a raw product, and then streamlining and final products. So this might seem or sound a little easy, but it is not. I have, or maybe I'm not even that capable of saying it, but a lot of people are trying it, but it's a difficult road to travel. Now, I think I have reached the end of the presentation now. And so technology does not lead to design. Technology, is should go or must go at this point of time, must go hand in hand with design. So it's a probable transition in the entire industry, which might lead to devastating changes in the way we have perceived the process of design. But it is still a long way to go, and we cannot just ignore that something is changing. We need to consider that change. We need to understand that change. We need to understand and weigh the pros and cons of that change, and then adopt maybe some of it, maybe all of it, or it depends. Again, this is a subjective matter, and it depends on a lot of factors. So I would like to end my presentation at this point of time, and I would request all the participants, if they have any queries, uh, they can ask on the portal here. And if they have any query which is related to something of a larger discussion, then I have given my email ID and my phone number in this particular slide, so they can contact me directly, and we could have a further discussion on their opinion, or on something that could collaboratively work in a better situation. So thank you, Periyar School of Architecture. I would again, I'm very grateful that I'm here for the second time, and I'm still I think nervousness is on my face. I'm still nervous because this I was not very sure of the topic, but I'm trying to do it. I hope I have justified it. I'm requesting Pramendra sir to give his valuable comments on it. Thank you so much. Thank you all the everyone.
Thank you, thank you, Umair, for the wonderful presentation. I think it was a very vast topic that you tried to cover, but I think you tried and articulated it quite well. So participants can now ask questions, and you can either post a question in the chat box, or you can just unmute yourself and ask whichever you're more comfortable with. But yes, now we open the floor for participant questions, and please go ahead and ask if there's any question that you have. Is there a question in the okay? No. So I guess I'll start with the question then, because I think there is one particular thing that I've been like throughout the presentation where you've mentioned quite a number of changes, right? Like we have mentioned quite a number of different aspects that all link together to form, let's say, the design. And I guess we can say that the architect is the one who's sort of is the person who's forming the bridge, right? The bridge between not just technology, but this amount of data, the technology, like the raw form of the technology, and then the design intent and the client, right? So the architect is the one who's forming the bridge. But that is in a way in the field. So if we, for example, want to create an analogy of that in pedagogy, right? Let's say if we talk about when we have been taught that technology, because as you said that there are multiple technologies that are coming up, but it is important that the students at least be exposed to each of them, and then the student can choose whichever is of interest to them, and they can proceed like seek out expertise in that subject. But the idea is that how do we link these individual technologies, and how do we create the notion that it's not the technology that you need to get expertise in, but the technology is a tool that you need to for design, and the design is the part that you need expertise in. So if you could just say a few words on that.
I'll try, Tushar, because this again, this is a very complex question, I would say. But see, I also mentioned that it's quite impossible to have all the technology right there on the tables of the students, and it's not possible financially. It's not possible in terms of the logistics part of it. So now we need to form the curriculum or the syllabus of the architectural schools in a way that it has some level of education in the field of technology, some level of idea that okay, this exists. And I agree with you when you say that students must be exposed or introduced to the idea of technology or whatever is there in the market, and then they must be let free to choose from those options. It's one important aspect to let them choose, but also some of it, like you need a precursor to everything, because I cannot, I cannot just pick up Rhino and do things. I need to understand how the basic framework of Rhino or Grasshopper works. I need to understand how what is the purpose of this technology, and how this technology is being used or will be used in my idea. So that is dependent on the faculty, that is dependent on the the administrative staff, and how are they understanding technology. Because it's okay to say, okay, if I take up a class like today, if I take up a, my presentation and say, okay, this technology exists in the world, and now you are there to choose it, but it is very unlikely that a student, a lot of students will take it. Only a very few who are kind of
Humair,
capable of
just a second. Is
handling
there,
technology will
Humair,
take it.
yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt, but is there, I think there's
Yeah,
some noise from your end. If you could just,
it's, is it better now?
yes, it should be better. Yeah. Yeah, sorry for the interruption. Please
Okay. So my point is that the administration must introduce the technology. That is the first goal of it. The administration in the first place must know about the technology. I'm sorry for the noise. uh,
continue.
so the administration first need to know that there is something that is missing. So we need to acknowledge the part that this is something that we need to introduce to the students, and then some of it, or maybe the precursor of that, or maybe the preliminary understanding or the orientation to technology must be there in academic schools, so that a student is aware of what is there. Because like us, even I was a student like that. I did not research a lot in my bachelor program. I did not know a lot of things. It was only when I got out in the market or in my master's program where I found the interest of researching. So that's how this could become better for a larger number of people rather than just a small percentage of 4 to 5% of the entire class.
Okay, thank you. So, if is there any other participant who wants to ask a question, or if Piyush sir or Mehta sir would want to give in their comments or questions? I think Mehta sir is occupied right now. So, Piyush sir, if you would want to say a few words or give your comments on the subject.
Yeah. So am I audible now?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay. So interestingly, this presentation came when I was considering which sketchpad to buy. So, uh, so definitely, what he pointed out. First of all, uh, uh, my uh, I must say that Humair has done his research work, and he came out with certain thought processes, certain ideas, and he did talk about certain technologies which all of us are aware, but we are not that much aware. So we know it's somewhere there, but now we know that they are there for the field of architecture. Interestingly, I was a part of one of discussion, and it had a similar kind of a topic, and they were discussing about uh, a possibility of AI taking over humans in the field of architecture. But a day before, when I was at site, uh, I saw a couple of donkeys carrying materials from different floors. So, what I'm trying to point out here is that there's still a huge gap between what we present in terms of what could possibly happen in future and what's realistically happening in the field on the ground, realistic ground, right? So there is still a huge gap. So a lot of these technologies are there, but for them to really come and make a considerable impact, it is going to take some time. I'm not saying they are not going to come; they are definitely going to come, but it is going to come in a while, and it is going to take some time for them to really make that impact. So uh, the technology uh, uh, is is just a tool. It's a tool, right? What matters is who's driving the technology, right? So when you say when we talk about blueprint, creation of a blueprint, and that blueprint eventually creates a building. So I say that the blueprint is first created in your mind. So there is a human behind the technology. If you have a sophisticated car which has all the gadgets, everything, but you don't know how to drive a car, or I must say that it will depend who's driving the car, right? So to have an idea that technology is going to take over humans, and it is definitely going to change the whole scenario in such a way so that the humans are useless. So that's not going to happen. Definitely, what's going to happen is that humans are going to, evolve, and they are going to use these technologies in a faster way, and then they are able to get those results in a faster way, right? See, if I remember in my college days, in first year or second year, we were essentially, I mean, to research on a topic was very difficult because you had to go to the library, find out books, and read about that particular thing, and then research by aligning them, and then write them down, and then finally bring out something, some idea, because the data collection and analysis of data was very, very difficult at that point of time. Now you have Google, you have so many things, so you can get the data and quickly have that data ready with you. So how you use that data is what is important. That's what is important. It's not only about uh, mm, uh, having the tools. It's also about how you are going to use the tool. So as far as my understanding, technology is going to help us do better rather than it's going to threat us uh, of our jobs and threat us of our uh, you know bread and butter. So I don't think that's going to happen. Yes, there is going to be a change. There is going to be a shift, but humans have to adopt accordingly, and they will. I'm quite sure about it. So that's all I'll say. So I think, but Humair has done a very well researched presentation, and I think it must have definitely benefited everyone.
Thank you
That's
so
it.
much, sir, for your
That's all
valuable.
I have to
Yes,
say. Yeah, thank
yes.
you.
Thank you for the valuable insight, sir. I think we probably have just time for one more comment or question. So, Mehta sir, if you could just like give in your thoughts and comments on it.
Well, I have no question. I want to compliment Humair, and I join Piyush in saying that it's an excellently researched presentation. And we this time when the technology is um, coming in at a much faster pace than ever before, I think the profession needs to initiate the change because the demand side is already there in the client's mind that we need to do this. And thereafter, I see it getting into the pedagogy or in the academic programs. So the filter down of technology or use of technology in our profession has been always been via profession. So I think we would request Humair to come back again, maybe in front of some of the professionals and interact with them, like the computers came in, or like from pencil we moved to ink. It's the same thing. So it's the level of artificial intelligence which is actually coming up at a much faster pace than ever before. And there are so many multiple choices that you could master one and still live with it, and you can master with another one and still find your position in the profession. So I think we have to explore all at the same time, and based on our own ability, institutional ability to pursue. But profession would adopt it much faster than anybody else, and that would cause a push in pedagogy and in academics. So my compliments to Humair once again, and I wish you all the very best. Thank you. And thank you all participants for an encouraging participation. And I'm looking forward to some of the presentation or your ideas being shared at this platform. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So, with this, I think I would like to bring the webinar to a close. For any other participants or Like people who want to share their ideas, you can see that there's an email ID on the screen, and you also have a phone number there. And so if you want to be a presenter at such a webinar platform, then please feel free to contact me, and I would work with you to get the presentation ready. So with this, I would like to bring the webinar to a close. I thank Humair for a wonderful presentation, and also thank all the participants and the senior academicians for making time for us today. So with this, let's end the webinar. Please have a good day, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.